What's up guys, it's Eric from Arcana and welcome back to another deck and battle here on PTCGO, and continuing our post-rotation deck coverage, we're going to be taking a look at Turbo Darkrai in the upcoming post-rotation format. So, we did post a Darkrai GX video on our channel a little while back for the Worlds format, but we didn't do the traditional Turbo Dark style one, so we figured we'd take a shot at it. So this is going to be the list we are going to be trying out. Now that Darkrai GX has released from Burning Shadows, it gives the old Darkrai deck a little bit of an extra damage boost. So let's take a look at the synergy between these two Darkrais. So the main attack of the deck is Darkrai EX. We're playing 4 of this guy for its Dark Pulse attack. It does 20 plus 20 more for every Dark Energy attached to all of your Pokemon. So the idea is with Max Elixirs and things like that, we can swarm our field with a ton of Dark Energy and hopefully do some big damage with this guy. It does have another attack, but it's not too relevant. But let's take a look at Darkrai GX. So it's the new Darkrai GX from Burning Shadows, 180 hit points. A lot of the stats are pretty similar. But we're looking at partially for its ability Restoration once during your turn before you attack. If this Pokemon is in your discard pile, you may put it onto your bench, then attach a Dark Energy card from your discard pile to this Pokemon. So this is kind of cool because if we can manage to maybe Sycamore away some Darkrai's and energy, we can get them back onto the field to increase our Darkrai EX's damage output. Or alternatively, if we do want to attack with Darkrai GX and it gets knocked out, well, we can just get it right back out of the discard pile and start powering it up yet again. So its attack we're going to look at is Dark Cleave for 2 Dark Energy and a colorless. It does 130. And the damage isn't affected by resistance, which actually is kind of cool because Gardevoir GX is very popular and it is resistant to Dark, so that is slightly relevant. But usually our main attacker is going to be Darkrai EX since it has kind of like an unlimited damage cap. But Dark Cleave is still a very, very solid attack that will 2-shot pretty much everything in the format. So definitely don't sleep on the attack of this guy either. Next up, we're playing one of the Baby Yveltal. So this is going to kind of be a counter to Alolan Ninetales, the new one, if we ever have to run into that. But also the Oblivion Wing attack on this is pretty decent. So just for a single Dark Energy, it does 30 damage, and you get to attach a Dark Energy from your discard to one of your bench Pokemon. So this is kind of cool because not only does it allow us to get some extra energy on the field, but since it's only a 1-prize attacker, we can force our opponent into a 7-prize game with this Pokemon as well. So it's just kind of an extra little utility card in there. And the weird card in this list I've been messing with is one Necrozma GX. So this probably seems like a really strange inclusion, but we're playing it because we don't currently have a GX move that we are making use of. And the GX move with Necrozma I think actually has some synergy with Darkrai. So Blackray GX for 3 colorless, it does 100 damage to each of your opponent's GX and EX. And the damage isn't affected by weakness or resistance either. So one thing I've noticed with this deck is that you're usually going to be 2-shotting things. Sometimes in the late game you can get your damage output high enough to take 1-hit knockouts with Darkrai, but most of the time we are going to be 2-shotting stuff, and as a result you sometimes have your opponent's field just with a bunch of EXs and GXs kind of damaged but not all the way knocked out. You can sometimes play Necrozma and take a bunch of knockouts all at once, which I've done on a couple of occasions now playing with this card. And we do play EXP share in this list, so ideally you want to get Necrozma out early on with an EXP share, and then throughout the course of the game it's going to kind of be sucking energy off your fallen attackers, and by the end of the game you'll usually have a couple of turns of a window of opportunity to use this Blackray GX. So it's also a good card against Gardevoir GX, since that's definitely a deck this struggles against. And so what I mean by that is, your Darkrai's are rarely ever going to be taking 1-hit knockouts on Gardevoir GX, so if you can use maybe an early Blackray GX, or even like a mid-game one, when they have a couple of Gardevoirs on the field, maybe a Lele, you can kind of soften up all of your opponent's Gardevoirs to where your Darkrai's can just knock them out in 1 hit afterwards. Granted, I'm still going to warn you, that is a bad matchup for this deck. I don't know if you can tech enough in here to beat it, so it might just be one of those things you have to accept. But Blackray is still great against a number of other decks. Volcanion is definitely a very, very good one. Most things in general right now are GXs, so definitely a decent attack. And lastly in the list, we're running 3 copies of Tapu Lele GX for its Wonder Tag ability, search your deck for a supporter whenever you bench it, but then also we have the Attack Energy Drive for 2 colorless, does 20 times the amount of energy attached to both active Pokemon, not affected by weakness or resistance. So just a nice little backup attack if we do need it. Okay, so moving on to our supporter cards. Since this is post-rotation, we don't have Versus Secret anymore, and it is worth noting I'm still playing around with the counts of, I think what the typical supporter skeleton's going to look like in most decks, but this has been actually pretty decent so far in my testing. So right now we have 4 Professor Sycamore, discard your hand, draw 7, obviously good. 4 copies of N, these are kind of our staple draw supporters, but the other draw supporters we're playing, it's going to be 1 Professor Kukui, draw 2 cards, and then during your turn, your attacks do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So in my experience, there's a lot of times when you're just short of enough damage to take a big one-hit knockout, and Kukui can kind of help with that. And also it is worth noting the math for Darkrai GX's attack works out very nicely if you have a Choice Band and a Kukui. So with a Choice Band and Kukui, you're doing 180, which is pretty good. So it's just there to help us kind of get over the hill and take those one-hit knockouts. The other draw support we're playing is 1 Sophocles, which has surprisingly been decent for me as well so far. So it's a new card from Burning Shadows. Discard 2 cards from your hand if you do draw 4 cards. So this is cool because ideally you can get rid of a Darkrai GX and a Dark Energy and then draw yourself 4 cards. But it's also good even in other situations where you might have some precious resources that you maybe can't afford to Sycamore away, but you don't want to end at the same time. So it gives you a nice little out there. And since we don't have Versus Seeker to just reuse Ends and Sycamores the entire game, we're going to have to fill our deck with other supporters as well. So we're playing the 1 Sophocles just as an alternative form of draw power. And the last supporter we're going to be playing is 3 Guzma. So this is our switching card we're going to be playing to choose what we want to take knockouts on. So switch your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active, and then if you do, switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. So I guess the second effect of Guzma really isn't too bad either because we play Altar of the Moon, so we can easily just retreat out of whoever we're forced into the active spot with. So definitely a good card. A lot of this other stuff will probably look very straightforward for Ultra Ball, for Altar of the Moon, like I just mentioned, just to give our stuff free retreat if they have dark energies. Let's see, we have 1 Super Rod. It is worth noting we are playing this over Rescue Stretcher just because this is a Max Elixir based deck, so I prefer the option to get energy back into the deck to use with Max Elixirs. However, you could make the argument to cut this since Darkrai GX already will get dark energies out of the discard pile, so you're welcome to try Rescue Stretcher, but like I said, right now I'm favoring the Super Rod though. 4 Max Elixir just to help us swarm energy onto the field. Look at the top 6 cards of your deck and attach a basic energy you find there to a basic on your bench. 2 Field Blower just to choose any 2 tool cards or stadiums and discard them. So we're mainly doing this to get rid of our opponent's Choice Bands. That's going to be the big thing. Okay, and then also to round out the list, we have some tool cards. We have 3 EXP Share. This is going to help us preserve energy in play, so whenever your active Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack, you may move a basic energy card from that Pokemon to the Pokemon with EXP Share. So it's kind of just a way to preserve our energy that we already have in play. And then we're also playing a split between 2 Choice Band, just to do 30 more damage to EXs and GXs, and then 2 Fighting Fury Belt, so it gives your basic Pokemon 40 more hit points and does 10 more damage as well. So the reason we're playing the split as opposed to maybe just 4 Choice Band is for a couple matchups, and that's going to be Volcanion and also Gardevoir. So like I say, Gardevoir is a little bit of a bad matchup, but with Fighting Fury Belt, you can sometimes make the math work out in your favor to where they can't as easily take a one-hit knockout. So again, in the case of Gardevoir GX, if you have 3 energy on maybe, let's say, a Darkrai EX, and your opponent has 3 energy on a Gardevoir, they just knock you out right there. And it's really not that hard for Gardevoir to get 3 energy on itself. So Fighting Fury Belt will help with the math in these situations, and with the double Field Blower, we can hopefully keep our opponent's damage output low enough not to take one-hit knockouts on us. And like I said, kind of the same thing for Volcanion with Steam Ups and things like that. They can sometimes one-shot our Darkrai's, so Fighting Fury Belt just helps give us the edge there and help ensure that they can't sometimes. And then 13 Dark Energy just to round out the list, kind of a high count, just to make sure that we hit the most of the time with our Max Elixirs. So yeah, guys, that's going to be the list we're going to try out. Not too many special techs or crazy things. We have the Necrozma in here. But other than that, just pretty much straightforward consistency. But yeah, let's head over to the battle portion of the video and show you how this looks in action. Alright guys, so we have ourselves a game here, and we're just going to call it a coin flip, which we do win, so that's definitely good. We're definitely going to want to go first. And our opponent has, looks like, some grass sleeves there, so maybe you're going against something like Decidueye, or maybe even Golisopod, or something like that. Hard to say. Or maybe even Vespiquen, since this isn't officially post-rotation format on PTCGO at the time of filming. So let's see what our opponent's going to get. And unfortunately, I do take a mulligan, but not the end of the world. Okay, and this is actually a pretty workable hand, so let's see. I can Sycamore away the both energies and the two Darkrai's. Definitely looks to be a pretty good first turn. I don't want to get rid of the Max Elixir, but hey, that's just how it goes. So let's see what our opponent's going to have here. I'm curious. So they have, okay, it looks like a Golisopod Zoroark deck. And here drawing the extra Max Elixir honestly kind of annoys me because I don't really want to get rid of two Max Elixirs. You know, I'd love to be able to throw both Darkrai's in the discard, but I think it's better just to use these, just bench the Darkrai, get a couple Max Elixirs down on it. Okay, so we get the one Max Elixir to work at least, that's good. And we can attach to the active and then Sycamore away this leftover Darkrai in energy. So still a decent little first turn there. Okay, we have a Choice Band, we have Alter the Moon. Nothing else I really want to play this turn. I don't want to throw down the Stadium or Choice Band just in case our opponent has a Field Blower ready to go. So let's just pass over to our opponent, and next turn we can maybe get out Darkrai and some other stuff. And I actually chose not to use Restoration on the other Darkrai GX just because if our opponent does attach a DCE to this Tapu Koko, that's one more Pokemon they can spread damage onto. So I kind of want to leave the other Darkrai in our discard pile until we absolutely need it for its extra damage. So our opponent is going to Ultra Ball some stuff away. Looks like Kukui. And let's see what they're going to opt to get out of here. Maybe a Tapu Lele, that seems pretty safe. Oh, okay. They have a Wimpod, so they must already have a supporter in hand. Okay, they're going to put a double Carlos down on Tapu Koko just as I expected, and we're just going to see a Sycamore, so that seems okay. So we're going to get a Floatstone down, so hopefully we can find a Field Blower to take away that Floatstone. Okay, so I have some options here. If we attach this Dark Energy, we can do 80 damage. That'll knock out basically any of the bench Pokemon that our opponent has. So let's play Guzman because we can free retreat with this Altar of the Moon that we have. And I think we go for Wimpod here, just because Zoroark won't hit for much damage if they evolve, and they have a free retreating Pokemon regardless if we knock out the Zoroark, or the Zorua, the Tapu Koko still has free retreat, so I think I'd rather just take out our opponent's Wimpods before they get set up. So we're going to do 80 damage, and just take a prize. Okay, so we still have a Lele for next turn, we have N, Sycamores, all sorts of good stuff, so yeah, we didn't have a really aggressive turn as far as like getting a bunch of energy in play that turn, but I think we're still in an okay spot. Okay, and our opponent is going to end us. I guess I'm okay with that, I suppose. And, okay, I mean, I guess this hand's workable, I suppose. So our opponent's going to get down another Wimpod and a Fomantis as well. It's interesting, so they're playing the Zoroark and the Lurantis all on the same list. And an Oranguru, okay. So here we're just going to see a Flying Flip, which is actually kind of annoying because with a Choice Band, now these Golisopods will be able to take a knockout once. But here, Fighting Pure Bell is actually really going to help a lot here. That'll push, I think, just out of range of a first impression knocking us out. That'll boost our Darkrai's hit points all the way up to 220, I guess 180 right now. If you're counting the 40 damage that's already on him. So here, I want to Ultra Ball. I'm thinking about maybe even getting Necrozma GX down. That could be an option since we have EXP share. That could be a nice late game finisher for us. So here, we'll probably get rid of the Altar of the Moon. And what else? I mean, we could get rid of a Sycamore and go for a Lele and grab N to save the resources, but here I'm just going to get rid of the Choice Band and Alter. Let's see. I want something to attach this EXP share to. That's really it. Like I said, I'm thinking about Necrozma GX here, but our opponent really doesn't have many GXs in play, so I might not go for that. So that, I'm not sure here. I think maybe the Baby Yveltal. Yeah, I kind of like that. It's a nice little neutral Pokemon to have an EXP share on, since I want to save our Fury Belts and Choice Bands for our Darkrai's. So here I'm like, well, I end up putting the EXP share on Darkrai either way, so. Okay, and we have Field Blower, so let's go ahead and get rid of... Yeah, I think we should definitely Field Blower here to get rid of the Floatstone on Zoroark. That way, because we're probably going to take a knockout on Tapu Koko, so we want to take away our opponent's other free retreating options. So I want to do that at some point this turn. So I'll come back to that, but let me see here. I'm just trying to make sure I'm going to have enough energy in play in order to take out this Tapu Koko. And now that it's going to be going down, I figure it's safe to get the Darkrai out of the discard pile. That way it doesn't get spread damage onto it. Let's put down the EXP share as well, just in case. And here, unfortunately, I forgot to use Field Blower. I got so caught up in, you know, making sure I had all the energy in play and who to attach my tools to. I think I forgot about the Field Blower here. So we'll have to see if that comes back to bite me. But yeah, I definitely think that's a bit of a misplay on my part. Apologize, guys. Oh, and our opponent had a Floatstone in hand either way. So maybe, maybe if I had used the Field Blower, they would have just attached another one. So who knows? Okay, so our opponent is going to use Instruct. And so let's see what they end up doing here. They need a Grass Energy to attack us with Golisopod. Okay, and our opponent is grabbing a Verse Seeker, so going for a Sycamore. So they must be really trying to dig hard this time for an energy. Maybe an N might have been a better play from them though, just because they would still refresh their hand and reduce my hand size. But again, they might just be really stressing about hitting this energy. But they do get double Colorless Energy, so they can still attack with a Mind Jack this turn, softening up this Darkrai a little bit more. So this Darkrai at least has kind of gone the distance for us. It's taken 2 prizes so far. It'll have taken its 3rd by the end of this turn, potentially. But I might actually opt to try to retreat this Darkrai. And what do we do here? I think the right play is just attacking with Darkrai GX at this point, since it'll take a knockout on Zoroark and it doesn't really have any damage done to it. So we could Ultra Ball. I really don't know what we should get here. We could grab another Pokemon to attach EXP share to, but I kind of want to save these resources. I'm not sure what I really want to discard here. Could discard the Dark Energy. I guess that's an easy target, but I don't know. I'm a little conflicted, but I think I'm just going to end opting to be able to save like this Altar of the Moon and this Field Blower. We could have used the Field Blower, but Zoroark's getting knocked out either way, so it's kind of irrelevant at this point. Okay, so here we can just retreat, and we can play the Max Elixir, but I think, yeah, I think I might opt to save it just to give us some extra options. I want to be able to maybe save that and use it on another Darkrai EX. Okay, so there we go. And let's see what our opponent has. They're promoting a Wimpod. That tells me maybe they have a Guzma or a Floatstone. So we'll have to see what happens here. Yep, they are going to go for the Guzma. And here, this is actually a situation where I think I would have... I kind of regret not going for the Necrozma GX, because now a Black Ray actually would be kind of a decent attack. Here, our opponent is going to use First Impression, taking a knockout on this Darkrai EX. But luckily we do have the 2 EXP shares in play. Our opponent was not able to Field Blower them, so we are going to preserve the energy that we do have. So I guess we're just waiting on our opponent to take a prize card. And here, coming on to my turn, I'm just trying to think what I really want to do here. You know, we could swing on this Golisopod, but I kind of want to just take... I want to be able to just attack twice and win the game. I know that probably sounds very weird, but I'm betting our opponent plays Acerola, so if we just attack into a Guzma, I have a feeling they might have a way to get Acerola, or maybe use that at some point, so I kind of just want to take 2 knockouts, if possible. So let's see. So, okay, what we can do is we can, if we actually Ultra Ball, we can get a Darkrai EX in play. It'll require us to get rid of... It's kind of a risky play because I think I'm going to have to play down my hand extremely low in order to pull this off, but, you know, it might be worth it. So let's see, we can Ultra Ball, we can definitely get rid of the... Well, actually, we need the Dark and the Max Elixir, so we get rid of Sophocles and Altar of the Moon. So here, I'm just going to take a peek at what else we have in the deck. We still have 2 Tapu Lele GX, so I think we'll be okay, hopefully. So what we're going to do is we're going to bench the Darkrai GX, hit the Max Elixir, hopefully. Yes, we do hit it. So that was actually really big. We can attach for turn. Here I'm just going to check what I've used. I've only used 1 Guzma so far. So I think what we can do is, again, this is going to be really risky, but high risk, high reward type of situation. So here I'm just counting my energy just to make sure that I'm going to have enough energy in play, because what I'm thinking about doing is using Lele to grab Guzma, to get this bench Tapu Lele, bring it up, and take a knockout. And we have 2 Guzma left in deck, and, or I'm sorry, 1 Guzma left in deck after this one, and 2 Tapu Lele. So what I'm hoping to do is just be able to use 1 more Guzma to win the game. Okay, so here we're going to use Dark Pulse for 180. Taking 2 prizes. So we do get an N, which not that great once you're down at 1 card. But my idea here was, well, you know, I'll be playing down to a 0 card hand, but I'll get 2 prizes plus my card for turn. So I was just kind of hoping we would have an out between those 3 cards. And here our opponent gets a double colorless energy, and I'm actually getting a little scared here now too, because if our opponent gets down a choice band, they will be able to actually knock out our Darkrai EX. Oh, and they have the choice band. So here they're going to use Crossing Cut GX. The only thing going for us is that our opponent does not have any Pokemon with free retreat cost in play. But luckily, yet again, we do have a bunch of energy in play, but no other Darkrai EXs to really capitalize on that. Okay, and okay, awesome. We actually top deck an Ultra Ball. That's perfect, because now what we can do, we can get rid of our 2 cards, grab ourselves a Tapu Lele GX. We can dig out that last Guzma from the deck and just use it on basically anything. We can just pick off a Wimpod or the Oranguru, pretty much doesn't matter. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to use Guzma, promoting our Darkrai GX, and then yeah, let's just grab this Wimpod and take a knockout here. So we're going to use Dark Cleave, and that is going to be the game, guys. So we managed to pull it off. A little disappointed I was not able to show off the Necrozma tech that I've been trying out. Definitely a fun card too. But either way, I hope you've enjoyed this look at maybe how Turbo Dark will look in the post-rotation format. Definitely has been an unexpectedly solid deck in my testing so far. You definitely have a bad Gardevoir matchup, which is unfortunate, but other than that, it's been doing okay. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this one, guys. As usual, feel free to like it and subscribe, and if you can support us either on our Patreon /RareCandyTCG or our online store, rarecandytcg.com, it would mean a lot to us. But with that, I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you for the next one.